When we hear about Iran today, it's usually through the lens of modern headlines. But the story of this place, which you might also know as Persia, is one of the oldest and, frankly, one of the most influential on the entire planet. It's a story that's not just about a country, but about a civilization that helped shape the world.
To really get a handle on Iran, you have to go way back, like over 2,500 years ago. And what you find isn't just another ancient empire, it was the world's first true superpower. This is the Achaemenid Empire, founded by Cyrus the Great. I mean, look at the scale of this thing. It was a colossal entity that connected Europe, Africa, and Asia. At the time, it was, by far, the biggest empire the world had ever seen.
And this number is just mind-blowing. At its absolute peak, around 480 BC, the Persian Empire was home to something like 49 million people. Now, get this, the entire world population at the time was just over 112 million. That means a single empire ruled over more than 40% of all human beings on Earth, a feat that has never been matched. Ever.
So who was the architect of all this? Cyrus the Great. But his real genius wasn't just about conquering lands. It was about how he ran the place. Instead of just rolling in with brute force, he did something revolutionary. He created policies of tolerance, actually respecting the local customs and religions of all the different peoples he ruled. That idea? That was the secret sauce, the glue that held this massive, multicultural empire together for centuries.
But, being a superpower, well, it puts a giant target on your back. And this is where the central theme of Iran's long, long history really begins. It's this incredible repeating cycle of a devastating invasion, followed by this remarkable cultural survival and reinvention. And this pattern is just relentless. First, in 331 BC, you have Alexander the Great, who just sweeps through and topples that first Persian Empire. Then, fast forward almost 1,000 years, and the Islamic conquest brings an end to the next great dynasty, the Sassanians. And as if that wasn't enough, in the 13th century, the Mongols show up and unleash a wave of destruction that was almost unimaginable. Honestly, any one of these events could have just wiped Persian civilization off the map for good. But it didn't.
So, what was the secret? How did they keep bouncing back? Well, it came down to a culture so powerful that it would, in a way, conquer its conquerors. The historian Bernard Lewis put it perfectly. He said the achievements of Persia were not lost, but absorbed. Basically, invaders would take the throne, but then they'd start using Persian systems of government, Persian art, Persian ideas. They became influenced by the very culture they thought they had defeated.
And if you want a perfect example of this cultural survival, look no further than the Shahnameh, the Book of Kings. This incredible national epic was written in the Persian language centuries after the Arab conquest. Think about that. It was a conscious effort to preserve their identity, to weave together all the myths and histories of ancient Iran, proving that a culture could live on long after an empire had fallen. So this deep cultural foundation really sets the stage for the 16th century, which is a huge turning point. It's often seen as the beginning of modern Iranian history. This is when a new, very distinct national identity was forged from everything that came before. The Safavid dynasty did something that would define Iran forever. They made a specific branch of Shia Islam, called Twelver Shiaism, the official state religion. This single act gave Iran a unique religious identity that was fundamentally different from its powerful Sunni Muslim neighbors like the Ottoman Empire. And that one decision continues to shape the politics of the entire region to this very day.
Okay, so as we move into the 19th century, the whole idea of invasion starts to change. The threat isn't just about armies crossing the border anymore. Now, it's a slow, creeping pressure from European colonial powers, a political and economic squeeze that would test Iran's resilience in a totally new way.
And you can really see what this pressure looked like on a map. During the Russo-Persian Wars, Iran was forced to give up huge territories in the Caucasus, lands that had been in its sphere of influence for ages. You had these powerful outside forces literally redrawing the map and shrinking the country's borders. This whole period was known as the Great Game. It was this intense rivalry between the Russian and British empires, who were both fighting for control and influence in Central Asia. And Iran was stuck right in the middle. Then, in 1908, they discovered oil. And that, of course, just poured gasoline on the fire, making Iran an even more critical prize to control. And you have to understand this long history of foreign pressure to make any sense of what happens next in the 20th century. Because the 1979 revolution, it didn't just happen in a vacuum.
It was another dramatic, violent turn in that ancient cycle, a powerful pushback, a reassertion of national identity against what many saw as foreign domination.
I mean, just look at this incredible span of time. You have Cyrus the Great, the founder of a tolerant, multicultural world empire. And then you have Ayatollah Khomeini, the founder of a modern, theocratic republic. They're separated by millennia, but both were these incredibly charismatic, transformative figures who completely reshaped the nation's destiny. At its core, the revolution was a clash between two completely opposite visions for Iran's future. On one side, you had the Shah, who was pushing for a pro-Western, secular country, but was ruling as an autocrat. On the other side, you had the revolutionaries, led by Khomeini, who wanted a fiercely independent, anti-Western republic, with society rebuilt around Islamic principles. And the one event that defined this new reality for the rest of the world was the hostage crisis. The exiled Shah had been allowed into the United States for cancer treatment. Fearing this was a setup for another US-backed coup, like what happened in 1953, a group of revolutionary students stormed the American embassy in Tehran. Their main demand? Send the Shah back to Iran to face trial. 444. That's how many days it lasted. For 444 days, the world watched as 52 Americans were held captive. That crisis completely severed diplomatic ties and basically poisoned the relationship between the US and Iran for generations. So, when you pull back, you see this epic story of resilience, a civilization that started as the world's first superpower, that survived wave after wave of conquerors, and constantly had to reinvent itself under immense pressure. This long, deep history of resisting outside forces and forging its own unique path, it leaves us with a really critical question. After thousands of years of reinvention, what will Iran's next chapter be?